And as we descended the knots, when they're about the same height, when they're more or less the same height, within about 4 to 6 inches, it made more sense on the way down to pass the working line first. That allowed us to keep our safety as high as possible for as long as possible. When we're passing the knots on ascent, and the knots are more or less the same height, we want to pass our safety first, which will allow us to keep our backup higher for a longer period of time. Right? In general, though, you pass the first knot that you come to. If that knot on my safety line was 6 inches higher, I would pass the working line first. But in this case, I'm going to pass the safety first on the way up, and I've got several options. We talked about how you could tie directly in with the butterfly. I could clip that in, move the duck up, unclip it, and move on. That's one option. The other option is I can put my ASAP on, move the duck over, and take the ASAP off. The third way is I can actually use my ID. The ID has a smooth cam, like the duck, and we actually use the ID as a safety part of a safety system. We're going to be doing more of that on Wednesday. So I can place my safety rope into the ID. Now we're putting it in a little bit different, so you really want to confirm that you've put the rope in properly. So you hold it up, take the control line, the one coming out the end, and roll it over to confirm that it looks proper, right? It's very easy in this configuration to put the rope in backwards. So make sure you put it in, confirm that it's in properly, take up the slack, and lock it. This is considered to be a full point on our safety. I can now remove the duck, and bump it over the knot, give it a good function test, and move it as high as I can. And then immediately remove the ID. It served its purpose, right? It was there just as a temporary safety. And now I'm ready to pass the knot on the working line. I can remove my handle ascender, right, because I'm suspended stationary, right, on my chest ascender. There's no chance of shock loading that. And move it above the knot. That allows me to move up a little bit higher, directly underneath the knot, and bump my safety up a little bit. The situation now, though, if I try to pass my chest ascender above the knot, just the way I am now, there's a potential if I make a mistake during that move, I might slip and fall, and I'm going to shock load my handle ascender. Everyone should be very clear that if I take my chest ascender off now and try to pass that knot, that creates a safety problem. Are we okay on that? Anybody? Okay. So the way that we get around that is I'm going to temporarily put the working line into the ID. Now I don't need to change over into descent, but now, as I'm passing the chest ascender over the knot, if I make a mistake and slip or something, instead of falling and shock loading my handle ascender, I'm just going to come to rest on my ID. Right? It's designed to take a shock load and absorb some energy. So now I can stand up, removing the chest ascender and placing it over the knot. Stand, open it, take the rope out, continue up, and rest on down. Bumping the duck. And again, this was just a temporary for making that move. Once I've passed the knot on the working line, then you can continue on. Just go a couple of moves. So basically the maneuver is over at this point, so now we're just going to take the knots out. Butterflies, especially after they've been heavily weighted with body weight, are easier to untie by pushing the tails in rather than trying to wiggle the loop free. I'm just going to push one tail, two tails, and then pull the loop free. Same here, we've got the one tail, two tails. Once they're loose, it's very easy to untie the butterfly. So now I'm going to change into descent. I'm leaving the duck nice and high. I'm going into the ID on my working line, taking up the slack, locking it, bringing the duck down just a little bit so it doesn't get out of reach, and changing into descent. Remembering to lock the chest ascender. I'm going to go ahead and stow the foot loop. And clear your working line off to the right side, making sure it's also oriented over that rolled section of the ID. Now I can exchange backups. Actually, for this maneuver, this is good practice. Because you might actually be working on a crew where you only have one backup, and it might be a duck, right? Depending on the type of work you're doing, it might be mostly going up, and they only have a duck. So we're going to descend on our final descent using the duck, okay? So the best way to do this is to get a grip on the control line, undo the ID, reach up, and bring the duck down as if you were going to pull the handle on the ID, right? Except you let go of the duck. That brings it down to a good height, right? Otherwise, you're likely to pull it down too low. Now I'm going to descend down until there's almost no slack in the line here. Reach up, grab the cord with a light grip, and bring it down, let go, and so on.
As long as your hand's on that rope right there, you don't have to lock that.
Correct. Right. If nothing else, this will point out one of the advantages of the ASAP. Okay, so go ahead and get on your set of ropes, or some set of ropes there. Ascend